Okay, we're back talking about the PSV software, and we wanted to talk about these features. Again, I'm going to say that the initial operation up here is the data acquisition settings. I've got it set for immediate and duration, which means that when we get a start signal, I'm going to immediately collect, and I'm going to go for the duration of seconds. I could have soft triggers when the force rises and drops, as we talked before. Don't want to do that. Next, we're going to have our data, which is our wave. And we talked about smoothing and, having a smoother, which is a process that you can improve the data or massage the data prior to the features. And then we also have features. And so here is where you've got three feature description is something you can type in. Your specification limits are your high and low pass fail values. You can see these values for this part is 3.14, 1.27, 2.88. They all pass. I can set control limits, and what that does is it, based on my spec of my sigma, I can do a SPC. I can see the SPC contents with my histogram here, and if I click on spec and my control, I can turn on my bell curve, and this is for this piece. If I go here and I look, and my control limits are way outside. So if I turn on my control limits and off my spec limits, spec means pass-fail criteria. Control means your sigma control. So that's what that is. And then my trend is what's been happening over time, meaning it's pretty much been constant over time. So that tells me that nothing really has been going on. Mean, control, spec. If I turn those guys off, that's what's been going on over those last few times. So the other thing that we want to see in here, you get your spec limits, and this is all post analysis. You've got, hey, my analysis parameters. What am I going to do? I'm going to grab my peak, then I'm going to grab my peak location, then I'm doing custom math on the two. And my analysis range is saying, hey, where do I want to look for my peak? So right now, this is from 0 to 2. If I go to my features and I say, hey, you know what, I don't want that to be 0 to 2, I want that to be 1 to 2, then what it's going to do is it's going to look between 1 and 2 now for that peak. That's going to be where do I want to do my analysis for that peak. And you can also use registers in here if you wanted, based on finding some data in previous steps. And then I can reset my SPC data. So in this feature description, spec limits, and you have your spec control, what is your SPC that you want, your analysis parameters, meaning what do you want to check for, and then the question is where do you want to check for it. And that should give you enough to set up some basic checks, peaks, mins, max, area under the curve, that type of thing.